I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Disney's story of menstruation is actually incredible. This is a 10-minute short that was released in 1946 as part of their educational series, and it is absolutely incredible. Not only is the animation design exquisite, it's kind of got that soft touch that reminds me of Snow White. You know, Snow White's got that very kind of gentle, soft, airbrushed feel to it. So do the characters in this, very much of the 40s. And the information in this is incredible. Now, I expected it to be quite prudish. I expected it to kind of pussyfoot around the specifics. I didn't think it would be that scientific. It is, and I will talk about that in a moment. But it's actually so uplifting, the way it speaks to young women and kind of addresses their fears and anxieties that pretty much every preteen feels, and makes them feel good about themselves and makes them realize that it's normal to have a period, that it's normal to go through this, and that any kind of emotions you're feeling just now as your hormones change, it will pass. And I think everybody should see this. I mean, everybody in the world should see it, but particularly kind of young girls, preteens, teenage girls, because it's the most accurate yet sensitive story of what menstruation is and what to expect as you begin to mature. I'm really quite astounded. So there are a few interesting things about this before I kind of talk about what it covers. This was actually commissioned by what was known as the Cello-Cotton company, which is actually now Kimberly-Clark, which I'm sure is a brand that you've heard of, very massive worldwide brand that does all kinds of things. Disney actually had a gynecologist on board called Mason Hun to make sure that everything was scientifically correct. And it does involve a lot of biology. There's like a depiction of the uterus, and it talks about kind of what happens and, you know, the scientific side behind it, but not so much that you lose interest. For me, this is more, you know, a lot more emotional than it is scientific. And I think, again, that is something that a lot of science classes completely miss out on, or, you know, health and social classes, or anywhere that does kind of sex ed. Usually the films are kind of like, you may feel a bit sad. This is because of XYZ. But this one, I think, really speaks to the young girls. There was something in this that I didn't actually... I learned something. And honestly, it says that... I don't know, I mean, I'm assuming this is factually correct, but apparently, if you're constipated... It had like a weird diagram of this, but if you're constipated, obviously your bowels stretch because they're full, and then it presses against your uterus, that presses against the bladder or something that makes you feel uncomfortable, particularly at certain times of the month. And then they gave some tips on healthy eating and things you can do and gentle exercise. But yeah, I didn't know that. I found that particularly fascinating. I do think the emotional aspect is what makes it greater than any other kind of sex ed thing that I've ever seen. There is a weird scene though where there's just all of these girls standing around this dog, and the girls are like frozen, but the dog's like wagging its tail or something, and I still don't know why. I still have no idea what the point in that clip was. But it is very, very, very moving. It's narrated by Gloria, Blondel, who has the perfect tone of voice for this. It's not patronising, it's not, oh, you know, woe is you for going through this. It's very matter of fact, but it's also comforting and reassuring. There are some very awkward moments, not sexually, but for example, there was a moment where it was talking about how you will get gentle exercise when you're doing your housework, and it was suggesting that everybody puts on makeup to feel pretty and make themselves feel better, which I thought was a little bit sexist. The bit with the shower was very interesting. Don't have very hot or freezing cold showers. Pretty good advice at any point. And there's a particular clip of a girl riding a bicycle down a hill with no hands. Her hands are just like wings either side of her. Not the best advice. Don't ride your bike like that. So there are some very very peculiar moments, some interesting animation choices. The baby has clearly got on a full face of makeup, but I just love this style of animation. I used to have colouring books with, well, covers that had this kind of soft, gentle, almost airbrushed style of illustration, and it just makes me feel so warm and fuzzy, and that really comes across with this. The script for this is incredible. The animation style is beautiful, again, occasionally questionable. The balance of emotion and science is very well done. And I think that this is something every young girl needs to see, maybe even every person, because I think a lot of people don't understand the ins and outs of this kind of thing, which is fair enough if you don't really need to. But I think it's very moving, and even if for whatever reason you're feeling down today, watch this. The narrator will make you feel better about life. Disney's story of menstruation is not at all what I expected. For the better, it's absolutely beautiful.